I went up to college and I just thought my life was going to change forever, but wherever you are, there you are, basically. And
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, like, um, my mom did take me to church here and there growing up, but I didn't have, so I got the foundation of the gospel. And even in high school, I went to a Lutheran high school. So we had chapel and they taught us about Jesus, but I had no relationship with him. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
mention that. And when I was in college, I just thought that my life would change magically, I guess. But I took my drug addiction with me. I just
Mhm.
kind of suppressed it for a while. I ended up joining a sorority to kind of make friends and at that college, a total college experience.
Yeah.
But they would go to frat parties and I would go to all the frat parties and I wanted to be a part of the culture and the culture was drinking, right? Drinking and partying on the
Yep.
weekend. But the difference between them and me is like they could drink and then Monday morning they'd be back in their 8 a.m. class and be functioning. And I'd be just hungering for like pills or like
Mm.
more, or I would sink into depression where I didn't even want to leave my dorm room and would be sleeping all day. And that's what happened to me. And then finally,
Wow.
I'd be looking around to see who had drugs on campus. And I found those
Wow.
people, but I didn't find heroin up there at the time. So every time I'd go back to Vegas, I would hit up those old using buddies and I'd be doing heroin. And I kept telling myself, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Or I'm going to just do this for a couple months and then I'm going to stop right before, like a week before I have to go back up to Reno. But every time it'd be like using up until that day and then just having a full blown panic attack meltdown because I had to go back to school and
Wow.
turning into like a monster and screaming, like screaming at my dad. And when I went back up for my next semester, I'd be in full heroin withdrawal, trying to focus on my classes. And again, like living that double life, and nobody really asked questions. No professor ever came up to me. It was such a big, the classes were so big, no one really
Mhm.
could tell what was going on.
Yeah.
And, when I would find pills up there, I would just hide in the bathroom and smoke them or whatever. Um,
So, how did you get into doing heroin? Just kinda going back to that process, because that's a big jump. A lot of people even, I remember in college being exposed to all the kind of drugs, cocaine, weed, acid,
yeah,
Molly, all of these things, but, like, meth and heroin, I don't know, that was the one kind of boundary that I thought I had is, "Oh, I'll never do that," and maybe that's because that was my parents' preferred drugs, and I was like, "Okay, they did the hard drugs, I'm
wow.
not gonna be like them." But how did you end up doing heroin? Like, what was the trajectory into that?
Yeah, what's crazy is I had that boundary too, and so we started off with like OxyContin, they're little
Mhm.
pills, painkillers. It's like basically OxyContin is like synthetic heroin, you could say, um,
Mm.
and because it's a strong painkiller, and so is heroin. It's just a
Yeah.
very much stronger painkiller. Um, and so I became addicted to those pills, and it was an easy transition. And I mean, I don't love, the devil loves how he makes this so easy, is that the kids are, smoking these pills. They're putting them on foil and they're lighting them up and they're
Mhm.
smoking a pill.
Hmm.
So I was doing that, and these pills were like $15 a pill, and then they were like $25 a pill. And I had to do at least three because your tolerance keeps building and building, right? So
Yeah.
one day we were just buying so many from my friend's friend who's a dealer, and she said, "Oh, they have this." They have he gave me the pills, but he also has this stuff called black, and I was like, "Ew, what is that?" Is that hair? I'm not doing that. What do I look like? I'm not a drug addict. Meanwhile, I'm
Yeah.
highly addicted to pills, thinking like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is a little more glamorous than heroin, right?"
Yeah.
Um, but she's like, "Just try it," and I'm like, "Okay, I'll try it." Ended up throwing up
Wow.
that whole night, but I did try it, and the high was like 100 times better. It was cheaper. It was easy to get. So, you smoke it the same way. I never
Yep.
injected by the grace of God, hallelujah, because I think I would have
Yeah.
died. Um, but yeah,
Wow.
so you're already smoking, you're already addicted, you're running out of money, you need a bigger high. It was
Yep.
just like heroin's like, here I am,
Yeah.
try
I
me.
think Honestly, I think it was the same thing with my parents that led them
Mhm.
into meth and heroin because there was a really crooked doctor in our small
Oh,
country town who was writing scripts for pain pills. He ended up losing his practice because of
good.
it, but he was, like, the only doctor in our town, so everybody went to this guy, and he was writing all these pain pill scripts, and that's why there's so many drug addicts in
Yes.
our town specifically. And so I could see how that trajectory of it starts with pain pills, and then they're becoming more expensive, and you find, okay, the high is getting harder to have, and so why you would then resort to something that maybe would you compare the high? Like, is it similar but just cheaper and,
It's similar
um
but more intense, yeah.
okay. Huh.
Yeah, and it's scary now because now they're lacing those pills that you get on the street with fentanyl, and fentanyl is killing people, like
Yeah.
and the people that are doing heroin, they even need a bigger high than heroin, and they're doing fentanyl, so I'm grateful
Yep.
that I got delivered before fentanyl was, like, a big thing.
Amen. Yeah, my mom had literal people die around her. She's seen so many people die.
So
Have
sad.
have you did you ever see anything like that? Because 'Cause you're still in the college environment, like, you're still around college people when you're doing this, right? So it's a little I don't know, it's not like
Yeah.
you're just in the druggy scene.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was just, like, a little bit in, and then I would go back to my college life. A little bit
Yeah.
in, like, "I'm just gonna come visit you guys. Okay, I'm going back to college, gonna be that college girl now." So thankfully, I didn't see it in front of my face, but
Yeah,
I have so many just old using buddy friends that have passed away, and I
yeah,
see it all the time. I look on my Facebook, it seems like every other week or something, it's like, "Oh, this person passed away," and it just breaks my heart.
yeah,
It breaks my heart. Or like people that, were in 12-step community with me, when I
mhm.
did have periods of sobriety because I did, and 12-step helped me a lot. Um, God
Yeah, take
helped
us
me.
through that. Like,
Yeah,
when did you start doing 12-step? When did you begin to realize you had a problem?
well, I was in college and an ex-boyfriend had gone to 12-step initially, and so did that best friend that actually introduced me to heroin. She started going to Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And so I just was like, I think one day I was in the bathroom. I called my dad. Like I was smoking heroin. I was smoking pills up there in college in the bathroom. I broke down. I called my dad. I told him everything. And I'm just like, I remembered those AA meetings. And I think first of all, I tried to tell a guidance counselor on campus, I need a community of peers. Like I need help. And she told me there was this community on campus of students who were in recovery from drugs and alcohol, and they had like a lounge, they had like a place where they could have meetings on campus. But when I
Mhm.
went there, I was like one of two maybe students, and I'm thinking, oh no, am I the only one in college that wants to try to get sober? How am I going to do
Mm,
this? And so that led me to just go online to Alcoholics Anonymous .com or something, and I went and I found my first meeting, and I just walked there on my own, and I ended up meeting a girl, and she brought me to like my first kind of young people's meeting. And I met
okay.
other people around my age, early 20s, that were trying to get sober. And that helped me immensely. And then I got really involved with that community on campus. And I started planning events with them. I started meeting new friends that were sober.
Mhm.
And that helped me so much. And I actually did really well for a while in college because of that community
Mm,
and God.
okay. Yeah, I've heard someone say it was one of the previous, podcasts with, I had Gerald and Tabby's guy by, and he was recovering from a pornography addiction, and he was saying, "Yeah, that's why I have a newsletter and I'm writing books and I'm mentoring." He goes, "This is a part of my sobriety." Like, when you're helping and giving back, these things help
Yeah.
you to stay sober and accountable as well, from those addictions, so I could see how that would be helpful, and that's even a part of those 12-step programs, right, is the giving back portion?
Yeah, service. Yeah, being of
Mhm,
service. So that helped me a lot. And step 3 is, turning your will and your life over to a higher power. Now they don't believe in, the God of the Bible. All of them, they all kind of believe in a God of their understanding, and that was a difference. But at the time, me having no relationship with God, and then me having the foundation of Christ, it was the
mhm.
beginning of me starting to surrender part of my heart to God. And so I'm really grateful
Mm.
for that.